Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Sunny, and this is going to be another episode of the Sunday Drive. I'm so excited to be driving today. The weather is super nice. Just got done raining, and of course I'm at the car wash again, because I'm always at the car wash. But before we talk about the topic of today's video, I want to show you guys something that I did. If you look at this, that is a new brake rotor, but unfortunately, the fins, cooling fins, I put them on the wrong way. So I was gonna make a video for doing the brake job, but like halfway through it was taking way too long, and we just said, screw it, we're just gonna do it. And that is the punishment I get for not including you guys in on what was going on with the car. So you're gonna see videos somewhere down the line where, well, it has to be before I track it. I'm tracking in late May, where we're gonna flop the rotors around to the other sides, and we'll do kind of like a little DIY, I guess. We also did the air intake temperature sensor, and the check engine light is back. I think I have a vacuum leak. I said injectors in the initial getting in of the snuff video, but I actually really think there's a vacuum leak. I'm gonna invest money in a smoke tester, and we're gonna smoke test this thing at some point because I have to know. I have to know. But enough about that. Let's hop in the car and start driving. Okay guys, so main topic of today's video is going to be 5 great things about a driving manual. And I'm gonna try to leave the rear window open for a little bit of this. I'm kind of messing around with the audio, seeing what sounds good and what doesn't. But anyway, so 5 great things about driving a manual. As you guys know, I drive a manual car every day. Most of my driving life, I've driven a manual car basically every day. And over that period of time, I have kind of developed an opinion, things I like, things I don't like about driving a manual. As with everything, there are good and bad things. So the follow-up to this video will be 5 things that are not so great about driving manual, but I wanted to kind of keep it positive today. So for number 1, that is going to be engine braking. So you might be asking, what is engine braking? Engine braking is where you let off the gas and the rotational force of your engine basically kind of slows itself down. So let me speed up a little bit so I can have space. I let off the gas, right? You see it slowly kind of starts slowing down, right? That's engine braking. You can do that in an automatic car too, but sometimes the automatic transmission will try to kick you out of the gear and throw you in neutral or do whatever. It's gonna do whatever it wants. It won't let you engine brake. And engine braking is really good to save on your brakes because obviously you're slowing down without using the brakes. That 70 mile an hour stop from the highway could be reduced to like only 50 mile an hour stop because your engine broke and then you got closer and then you had to use your brakes. But engine braking is honestly one of those things that I just kind of really like doing. It's also good for gas mileage, and it's just good for your car in general. Semi-truck drivers do this a lot because on theirs, like they kind of have to. So being able to do that is just really nice. And obviously, when you have a manual, you can kind of, like I've been doing it the whole time, right? I haven't had to touch my brakes yet. Now we're getting a little closer, so I step on it. But instead of doing a 50 mile an hour brake there, I only had to do about 25 to 30, which over time that really extends the life of your pads because you're not making them do as much work. Getting to number 2 on the list, and that is going to be reliability. So on a newer car, the automatics are just better than manuals. I mean, let's be real. The automatics are better, but back in the day, the automatics were not as good as the manual transmissions. So by getting a manual, you were not subjecting yourself to a lot of the sensor issues and other random little issues that you could get with the automatic transmissions. All you really have to worry about is just the clutch, and then I would say throw-out bearing, pilot bearing as well. Really, you should be doing that with a clutch, and the clutch will generally fail first, but not everyone does. But there's a lot less moving parts. It's a lot more simple than an automatic transmission. The automatic transmission, you have obviously your shift linkage, which can physically break. You have the pedal locks. I mean, there are all sorts of parts that can fail in an automatic transmission that a manual transmission car just doesn't have. But on the older ones, they were still kind of working out a lot of the kinks, and that kind of translated into the manual just being the better one to have. I mean, it was cheaper, it was more reliable, and it was faster. I mean, now obviously they're not faster, but I would say generally for a lot of older automatic transmissions, it's kind of a gamble depending on the car, especially on a BMW. I will say the transmissions themselves are not inherently bad. I mean, they're kind of slow, but like reliable, they're fine. as long as the fluids were changed a decent amount. But it's just everything around the transmission that just tends to be problematic. And by getting a manual, you're just avoiding all of the headaches of that. So number 3 on the list, and this is probably going to be the most obvious one, and like the one that really is why you should be buying a manual, is I think it is more fun. It's more fun and engaging. So that's kind of 2 parts of that. So more fun is in, you know, I want to shift down a gear, right? I just pick my gears whenever I want, it doesn't matter. More engaging though comes in as more of an attention thing. So I have ADHD, and when I'm doing things, sometimes I struggle to pay attention, right? Well, I've noticed that in a lot of manual cars, I'm more alert than in automatic cars. An automatic car, obviously in the highway, this doesn't really apply because you kind of just stick in fifth, whatever. But in an automatic car, I'm not really doing anything, right? I'm kind of just pedal modulation. So then I tend to get distracted by other things, whether it be on the road or it could be anything. Well, by driving a manual car, it keeps me a lot more engaged with what's happening, because I have to think about what I'm doing, right? I have to think about shifting gears. That's also going to be a downside of driving a manual, but I personally see it more as an upside because it's, you know, it gives me something for me to do. It makes my normal daily commute more interesting for me personally. Even on just like some kind of old crappy cars, right? Like my Honda Civic, I mean, that's kind of sportier. It was a Civic SI, but like even on that car, just, you know, a normal around town driving, I kind of liked having a manual just because it was, you know, it was just fun to shift the gears around, right? Sometimes, you know, you just play with the shifter, whatever, I don't know. And then obviously it is more fun because when you're in the corners and whatever, you get to pick your own gears. So you have the maneuverability of the engine. You have the full ability to control what is going on. Now, in newer automatics, obviously, this is kind of less of an issue because they give you paddles or whatever, but even some of them still kind of nanny you. When you have a true manual transmission, it is a mechanical connection between you and the car. There is no computer that's telling you what happens. So but if you mess up, you're responsible for it. But all the good things that come with driving a car, you're also responsible for. All the fun you're having, it's because you have direct control over what's going on. And I really like that feeling. There we go. Nope. Driving manual's fun, and that's just kind of one of those things. Like, I got to pick where I shifted. I didn't want to go out the red line, so I shifted at 6, right? I got to pick where I wanted to go. Sometimes I don't want to bring out the car all the way, so it's just nice to kind of have that, you know, little maneuverability. Okay, so number 4 on the list, and that is going to be the looks. This one is very subjective to me, but personally, I think having a manual shifter in the center here is way more attractive than the automatic, you know, Prindle, as they call it. Because the manual shifter, I don't know, it's just kind of one of those things. It's like, it's nicer to look at, especially in these older classic cars. I mean, this car was kind of designed with the manual transmission in mind, so it just kind of makes more sense in the interior. I will say that on the later E36 and some of the later BMWs, especially modern ones, the shifters look pretty good actually. I don't dislike them at all. But some of the older ones, where you got like the big like grab handle, it looked like you were like, I don't know, like a truck shifter or something. I don't hate it, but I just think the manual's a lot better looking. You know, in photos, I'm really big on photos and how a car looks when parked, depending on the car. I just am for this car because this car, it's my baby. So I just kind of like it, you know, looking its best. And having a manual shifter kind of adds to that experience for me. And something else too is I really like the look of the 5-speed on BMWs especially. I kind of like having 5 up top and then reverse on the left. It kind of flushes it out. The 6-speed doesn't look bad or anything. I don't know. I'm just kind of weird like that with those little things. My Honda Civic SI I had before this car, instead of reverse being over and up, it was like the old Fords. It was kind of like all the way over and down, except 6 was there. So it was actually kind of scary. Because like almost the thought that like I could accidentally hit reverse instead of 6. But I don't know, that's kind of off topic. I just like the way the manual shifters look as opposed to the automatics. But moving on to number 5, and this is going to be the last thing on the list, that is going to be that your manual transmission is an anti-theft system. So I know this one seems kind of like, it's like, really you're going to pull that out? It's less of an anti-theft system for criminals, because I think most criminals know how to drive manual, or they're like handy enough to do that, or they don't need to drive your car and they're just going to tow it away. Really, the anti-theft system is for your friends. I have some friends that would like to just, kind of hop in and take my car and be like, hey, can I use it? Or even my parents especially. They're like, hey, can I use your car? Now, my dad knows how to drive stick, but not a lot of people in my family do. So by having a manual transmission, I don't have to, it sounds kind of mean to say I don't have to lend them the car, but, it just kind of lessens the amount of scenarios in which I'm put in where I kind of feel obligated to give the car out to somebody. Unfortunately for me, though, I do have a lot of friends that are car people, or most of my friends are car people. So a lot of them know how to drive stick, so it doesn't really matter. But if you are in a friend group that does not have a lot of manual drivers, then no one's ever going to be able to use your car because no one knows how to drive it. And that's just kind of one of those things that sounds kind of cynical, but my car, you can go buy your own car and go do your own transportation of things. With all that said, though, I'm going to go ahead and conclude the video. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this. I know this one was probably a lot shorter than usual. I been kind of pressed for time with a lot of schoolwork. Next week, we're going to talk about the opposite, 5 things that are not so great about driving a manual. So stick around for that if you want to see more, and then I have more videos planned for the future. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe. Comment down below if you have any questions or comments, any video ideas. I'd like hearing your guys' criticism, just generally what you think. But I get a kick out of making these, and I think you guys like watching them, so I'm just going to keep making them. This summer we definitely have big plans, especially for this car. But I like making these videos, and you guys get a kick out of watching them, so I'm going to keep making them. This summer I definitely want to do more like vlog type stuff and more like car stuff. Obviously during the school year it's a little harder, but we're making do with what we have. I'm definitely enjoying the new audio setup. We're going to go do a little pull here, a little send-off pull. And then I'll see you guys in the next one. Okay.